Welcome everybody, my name is Anthony James, founder and CEO of LinuxAcademy.com and CloudAssessments.com, and today we're joined at a new time, our 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Last week we were doing it at 11 o'clock in the morning, today we're doing it in the afternoon. Ideally, we want to allow everybody the opportunity to be able to join us on this live stream. Alternatively, I will say that I'm probably not quite as interesting as listening to Mark Zuckerberg testify in front of the United States Congress today. So for those of you who are joining, I can promise you that I'm not stealing your data. I don't know everything about your life. Our company doesn't know everything about your life, and you don't have to worry about that. So maybe you'll watch just because we're, we're not stealing all your stuff. So today I'm joined by the ever-requested Terry Cox, who is, and we'll talk about it here in a second, the head of Linux, DevOps, and Azure, which everybody's going to want to have a conversation about Azure, Terry, so prep yourself for that. Terry is actually inside of one of our recording studios today. He lives in Kansas City, but he's come in for onboarding of some new course authors for the next 2 weeks. And so you can see him back there. He's in one of our recording studios, just literally in our second building across the street. So hello, Terry.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. Good to be here.
And then we are joined by a brand new course author by the name of Will Boyd. Will, when did you join us?
Just about a month ago.
Just about a month ago, and in fact, you joined a month ago, and you're launching your very first course already today. What do you think about working here? That's a lot of work in just a short time period. You came on, you got onboarded, you got in there. What do you think of the tools? What do you think of everything we got going on here?
Oh, I love it so far. I'm enjoying it. I'm getting the opportunity to learn a lot of great new things, and I'm enjoying teaching.
We are excited to have you. So for everybody who is watching, we're going to talk and actually clue into some of the stuff that he's going to be working on. It's some highly requested stuff. We're launching something today, and what he's working on for this quarter is pretty advanced, I would say. It's actually really pretty cool. But real quick, let's put up our Connect screen. What I'd love for you to do is connect with us. You can connect with us by subscribing to our Linux Academy YouTube channel or Facebook channel, wherever you're watching this. Those who are joining us from Twitch TV, it's our first time streaming there, welcome. We appreciate you joining. And now you can connect with us also on Cloud Assessments and Scale Your Code. Now, real quick, as part of your LinuxAcademy.com membership, you get access to all 3 of our products, ScaleYourCode.com, CloudAssessments.com, and LinuxAcademy.com. And you'll notice that this month we've already launched our brand new practice exam system. We have a lot of our labs and hands-on activities utilizing our real-time grader system. All of our content is following some of our new content processes, including the all desired and awesome hands-on labs that are scenario-based. They are also following, and most of it is launching with our interactive diagrams. So if you've ever heard of the Orion Papers or the Brief or the Omega Project, those are our interactive diagrams, and we're launching most of our new content having that, so we're excited about that. And then, real quick, we can do a recap from last week as well. What we have is last week I did a quick office tour of one of our offices, and then on Tuesday we announced our Google Cloud Security Essentials. On Wednesday we announced our Google App Engine Deep Dive. On Thursday we announced our AWS Deep Dive. On Friday, and we announced our Building Serverless Chatbot with AWS Lex. All of these are 100% available on the site, just like the course we're going to announce today is now 100% available on the site. And do we have a content team recap as we go in here? Let's pull that up on the screen. You guys, our production value of our live streaming today is going to be so awesome. It's completely hands-off. We have a whole team set up. I'd say last week was just our trial week, and our team is doing a great job. So real quick, as a quick recap, we have currently 3 heads of content. We have Stephen Smith, who is head of OpenStack Security in Google Cloud. We have Terry Cox, who was a course author and is now, his job is to help scale himself and his courses, one of our most highly requested course authors, and he is head of, and of course joining us, Linux, DevOps, Big Data, and Azure. And Tom Haslett is head of AWS. Now, real quick, we have a really large content team. All of our content team members are full-time staff members. That's a job where what we like focusing on is more than just videos. Anybody can create videos. We can outsource videos all day long. The thing is that the tools and how we do it is what we believe makes you successful, right? We have a lot of data that backs up our content, how we design content, passing certifications, preparing you for production environments. But our real key is our hands-on labs and our interactive diagrams. When you go through a course, you get quizzes or a practice exam or their hands-on labs, and well, these could be and or ors, obviously. Also, flashcards and downloadable study guides, so on and so forth. So there really is a lot of effort that goes into building a course more than actual usual. And in fact, you know, Will, you just had the most experience, or the most recent new experience coming along with that. And you've actually kind of joined with one of our new lab building tools internally. How'd you feel about these things? Do you feel like it's easier to build quality content faster?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't really get to experience what came before that, so I don't necessarily have a good standard of comparison, but my experience was great. It was very powerful to be able to use CloudFormation templates to basically build out whatever was needed for the lab environment.
So, Will, while I got you on the screen here, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then what we're going to do. Don't tell us about your course yet. I'll tell you when. You'll go in and we'll talk a little bit about your course that you're launching.
Well, I'm primarily a DevOps guy. That's really my focus and my passion in the IT industry. I've got experience as a software developer and in system operations. So in terms of my background, I kind of straddle that DevOps line. And yeah, that's my primary passion and experience.
Awesome. And so real quick, are you guys ready to pull it up? And we're going to go ahead and announce DevOps Essentials Refresh. Now, real quick, this is the great introduction to some of our new DevOps launches, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But DevOps Essentials is a huge, huge jumping stone. And since we launched one of our most popular courses, which was DevOps Essentials, it was about 4 years ago, Terry. I believe that was one of your older long-term courses. This is a refresh. And this is kind of it's updated and modern. In fact, I'm not going to tell you about it. Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so DevOps is kind of a tough concept sometimes to navigate. I think that a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on it. And there's a lot of different buzzwords and tools and practices that are associated with it. And the purpose of the DevOps Essentials course is to kind of introduce you to all those different things and help you navigate that world and kind of understand what DevOps is and what all these other things that are kind of tied to it are, things like continuous integration, continuous delivery, different tools, and how those things are tied to DevOps and how they really interact with DevOps. The course also talks about the relationship between DevOps and the cloud and kind of breaks down how some of the different cloud providers like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon offer tools to help support DevOps if you're in the cloud.
Fantastic. And what I will say is what really excites me about this, and Terry, you can talk a little bit about, maybe drop some hints on some stuff that's being worked on and maybe some of the other announcements, because we do have a few DevOps announcements launching this month, so continue launching our live stream. But what really excites me about this is when we look at content at Linux Academy, we start from a starting point. And if you see and you take a look at it, we have so much depth of content on a subject matter. And what really excites me is we have this brand new DevOps team. Terry, you and I actually were the majority of all of our DevOps content. And now what we've done is we've got together, we built that team. And what should we be expecting from our DevOps category kind of going forward with, why don't you tell us some of the hires, how many people you've hired for DevOps, and maybe what we can expect going forward for it?
Well, I've scaled the team by about a half a dozen people over the past 90 days, and I've got about 4 or 5 more hires to go. We've hired 3 people that are in the container and DevOps space dedicated, and then, of course, Linux is a good relationship with DevOps, as many of the open source tools, of course, play very well in the Linux world. And I think one of the things that you'll find on the Essentials course that we have here today is that it's a really good bridge between anyone that's new to DevOps and all of the terminology and processes that are associated with it as a philosophy, and the technologies and tools that you'll find that we have training for throughout Linux Academy, whether it is deep dive courses on how do I get my hands on and use Ansible or Docker, to the certifications that we offer training for, like the Docker Certified Associate and the Certified Cloud or the Certified Kubernetes Administrator. So Will does a really good job of tying all of those things together in meaningful ways so that you understand not only the philosophy, but the tools that help support all of those philosophies. And when I did the original DevOps course 4 years or so ago, it was strictly slide presentation based, and Will's done a really good job of updating that, not only with the technologies, but a much more engaging philosophical manner. He really has done a really good job with the course.
Yeah, and what's really great is we actually have an existing team and a bunch of new hires too. So we have Travis Thompson, who has done our Puppet certification course. We have Chad, who, they're going to change it here a little bit on me. There we go. We have Chad, who did our Kubernetes certification from the Cloud Native Computing Foundation certification. Terry, your last course actually came out in December, which was our Docker certification. So I would say that, when we look at the DevOps pipeline and DevOps content inside of Linux Academy, we have that. We have Chef. What am I missing there? Am I missing anything, Terry? I know what I'm trying to do is not talk about all the stuff that we're launching over the next few months in that category, because it's going to be awesome.
Well, we have Ansible content, and that's already out there, and we have a few other things that I won't mention by name, but some orchestration type stuff that we're probably going to talk about that we haven't had a presence on Linux Academy before. And then we're going to dive a bit more into the whole DevOps philosophy around very common tools, utilities, and processes and pipelines, those kinds of things upcoming in the next quarter as well.
Absolutely. And in fact, just this month, we're going to have Elle and Travis on that are both announcing two relatively complex. One of them is a certification course related to DevOps, and the other one is a brand new orchestration category. And that's, I think, all I'll say until the announcement, that we haven't had on Linux Academy, that just so happens to be one of our, you know what, I'm forgetting some. Doesn't Derek, we forgot about Derek. How can we forget about Derek? Doesn't Derek got a DevOps course launching this month as well?
He does. Of course, he just refreshed the Ansible Terraform course. And we do have another unannounced course as of yet that Derek will be announcing in the DevOps category as well.
That'll be great. So let's see here. So this is two. We have the AWS and Ansible course that just launched from Derek. We launched it when it was completed, which was a refresh, and that went out about a month ago. And then Will, who has this awesome new DevOps Essentials course. And then we have 3 other DevOps courses launching. How many more times should we be expecting to see you on here between this, Terry? How much stuff do you have launching this month?
I believe I will be on a total of 10 or 11 times before the end of the month.
Oh, so those of you who have been requesting Terry, you are going to get all of the Terry, and we are really excited about that. So Will, real quick, without dropping the exact answer, of course, if anybody listens to probably what you have to say here, they're going to know exactly what you're working on. But why don't you drop some hints to what you're working on this quarter to be launched in July, and maybe some of the complexity around the hands-on learning activity labs that we have.
Yeah, so one of the things that I experienced, early on in kind of getting into DevOps is it's really complex. There's a lot of bits and pieces to it, and if you go out to research DevOps on your own, primarily what you're going to find are tutorials and guides and lots of great content out there on the internet that will teach you how to use individual tools. But not many people are going to help you bring all that together and help you tie all that together and show you how to implement the entire pipeline from start to finish. Not very many people do that, and that's all I'll say about it right now.
I love it. And so, real quick, let's Terry, Will, and me, and in fact, inside of the chat, if you have questions, let us know. But let's talk a little bit about some of the jobs inside of DevOps, and I'll just start off with my 2 cents. DevOps isn't necessarily. DevOps is more of a philosophy, right? That's one of the things, and that's why we like this DevOps Essentials course, because any hardcore DevOps person, and we have these conversations all over the place, will say that it's a philosophy of something that you do. It's not necessarily a piece of software, except for you use software in order to manage those set of philosophies and principles, right? And so part of that is automated testing, automated deployment. And what I think is going to be one of the biggest opportunities probably over the next 12 months for careers will be the DevSecOps, specifically when you look at automation inside the cloud and security. AWS alone, and I'm excited to talk about some of these things, has so many great new tools that allow you to automate security inside of the environment, right? And so Terry and Will, what do you all think in terms of job growth or the role of DevOps in careers, or where do you think it's going in the next 12 months? Lots of questions there.
I would say that certainly DevSecOps is a big deal. There's also DevNetOps. DevOps is becoming much more of a big deal in the world of just plain old networking. And I would say that over the next 12 months and even further into the future, one of the major things that's really happening right now is that DevOps is becoming more and more mainstream. We're kind of in this transition period where there's a lot of really big, really powerful companies that are really doing it well, and a lot of companies that are trying to do it, and they're kind of still finding their way. I think what's going to happen in the near future is many, many more of those companies are going to be finding their way. And DevOps knowledge and DevOps familiarity is going to be essential for almost any IT role. So having knowledge of DevOps could help you get better jobs as a developer, as a systems engineer, as a security person, as a network tech, really almost any IT role. I think within the very near future will benefit significantly from having some level of familiarity with DevOps.
That's perfect. And what I'm looking at the community here as well before we head over to Terry, but we have a comment. I just lost it. All the chat went happen. So it's from Jeremy. That he's talking about the room. There we go. Same. First off, Terry, he likes your room that you're sitting in over there at the Linux Academy office right next door. But Jeremy also made the comment that said, DevOps, in my experience, is automating operations/IT and really comes into play with cloud, whether it be native or AWS, GCP, or Azure. And what I would say is I 100% agree. Specifically in the day and age of what everybody's been calling cloud native, right? Which is a term to describe applications that are born in the cloud that utilize these cloud services, right? And so you have the DevOps in the traditional sense of managing and automating virtual machines and hardware boxes, bare metal boxes, which there's always going to be that. One of my Scale Your Code interviews, we interviewed somebody to come out and the comment they made was legacy is always going to be legacy. It's always going to be there. I think we have some Fortran stuff that talk about in the news that are still running out there. So legacy is always going to be there. But when you take that and you look at it from a cloud perspective, there's a lot of that automation, whether you're running into those services or you're using tools like Lambda or Azure Functions or Google Functions in order to glue together automative components and monitoring and auto-healing in your environment. So it is more than just some of these tools that allow us to orchestrate our virtual machines, our Windows machines, our Linux machines. And it's more about the entire architecture, gluing that entire architecture together. And what's really great is developers really get to take advantage of this now too. And we saw that it's a hybrid where developers got in there, but just some of the apps I'm working on requires a lot of DevOps to be built into the application in order to manage things at scale, right? And DevOps really allow us to manage a whole bunch of stuff at scale, and I just have to stop and comment on what Keith Thompson just put inside of YouTube. Keith Thompson. Woo! A book on modern Fortran was just published. That's some pretty good stuff. That's some pretty good stuff. Brent Daniel, real quick, inside the Linux Academy or inside of the YouTube community, it says, was hoping for some LFCSA and an LPIC2 refresh. And Terry, I love that you're smiling up there. Would you agree with me that they should continue watching our live streams this month?
I would say that it's probably a safe bet that if they continue watching the live stream, they'll be pleased with the content that's coming out overall. How's that?
I think that's fantastic. Now, since we derailed on that, do you have any comments on anything in careers? Anybody inside of our channel have any questions in terms of careers or even just contributions we could talk about real quick?
I have a comment building on Will and your comment about careers in DevOps. And I think DevOps has actually gotten to the point where we're starting to see the maturity of not only the DevOps movement, but the DevOps engineers that are working within that space. And what I mean by that is, especially in the United States, as we start to deconstruct net neutrality, the ability to effectively troubleshoot and performance tune complex workloads and pipelines is going to be a very important, more or less niche inside of DevOps. It is not only can you implement and use those, but how effectively can you deconstruct those and find out where the problem might be, where the performance issues are, and to optimize that path. I think some of it, as Will said, is in the dev NetOps, because network is an important component of that, but even more so looking at a performance tuning and management perspective, I think maybe kind of the next level of positions that you'll see more and more common in the DevOps space.
Terry, I appreciate that. And what we're going to do now, Will, I hope you're ready, sir, is we are going to dive over to this other computer screen I got here, one of 4. I downgraded, used to have 6, decided I didn't want to multitask so much. And Will, if you don't mind, why don't you, as I just slowly browse down, summarize each section a little bit and go from there. You ready, bud?
Yep.
Ready, set, go. Uh-oh, there we go. Ready, set, go. Introduction. What do we got?
Oh, sorry, I can't see. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Sorry about that. There we go.
Yeah. So the introduction just kind of introduces the course and just tackles the basic question of what DevOps is and gives you a little overview of the history of it. Very, very brief because, of course, history is not the most important thing you can know about, but it is somewhat important. The DevOps Culture section really goes into depth. As you were saying before, DevOps really is primarily a culture. It's a philosophy. So that section really breaks down that philosophy, what that philosophy is, and kind of what its makeup is. Then there's a section on DevOps practices and concepts, and that covers a lot of these sort of best practices that are associated with DevOps and talks about how they're related to that culture. The section after that is DevOps Tools. That's where we go into actual individual tools, things like Jenkins, things like Kubernetes, things like Ansible. Obviously, in this course, we don't teach you in depth on any of those tools, but we give you a basic idea of what they are and what their role is in DevOps as a whole. And then in the final section, we talk about DevOps and the cloud, and that really covers cloud providers, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft Azure, and really talks briefly about the different DevOps tools that are offered within each one of those cloud platforms.
And it looks like your course is actually utilizing a cloud assessments activity, which is an independently standalone piece of content that has value and is hands-on. Can you tell us a little bit about this specific activity? What it looks like it's called the Devops Pipeline.
Yeah, so what that activity does is it basically is a hands-on demonstration of a DevOps continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment pipeline using Jenkins. So that activity really just takes you through the process of doing a deployment to production using sort of a sample automated DevOps pipeline setup. So you do a deployment to production, and it demonstrates the concept of rolling back to a previous version in order to fix a problem as well.
Awesome. And actually, I got some of it up here on the screen. We got some instances that are provided for you that you're going to end up connecting with. We have the video that walks you through doing it. And we also have the architectural diagram that shows a little bit about what the person is going to do hands-on. Now, real quick, one of the coolest features we have is down here. What is going to happen is that these are going to check off as you complete these objectives. And so you know what's happening is it's real-time grading in your environment. I literally just stopped to send Terry a reminder of something. We're always working. I'm sorry, I can't get it out of my head. And what it does is it checks off inside of the environment. and allows you to understand if you've accomplished what we hope for you to accomplish here. So our real-time grader system is running in the background. And Will, you've done a great job on this. I'm actually going to grade the activity even though I haven't done it. Now remember, every single piece of our content has what we call a thumbs up and thumbs down rating system. We ask that if you enjoy it, if you like it, if you feel like it's good, and the mastery of the subject matter inside of that specific activity is what you think it is, and there are no typos or issues, give it a thumbs up. And you can refer a friend there if you want and earn some gems. However, if you feel like that we can improve on it, give it a thumbs down. And the only thing that I would say is that our course authors spend at least some time every single day inside of our ratings, inside of our feedback. So if you were to say thumbs down and suggest feedback in a very mean way, they'll see that. It might ruin their day. It might make it harder for them to push content out there. Alternatively, if you say, hey, great job, noticed a typo, or hey, you ever thought about doing this as well, putting it in there, gives them idea, gives them feedback, allows us to improve our content. Everybody has an A-OK day. And in fact, Terry, how much time do you guys spend each week, do you think, going through ratings, making sure our content's the best it can possibly be?
Well, we spend parts of every day individually, and we review it as individuals on a weekly basis. And that includes reaching out to those of you who have taken the time to provide feedback, whether that feedback was unclear wording, whether that feedback was ultimately that we had a typo, although those don't tend to sneak through very often anymore because we have an excellent copyright or copy edit team that catches those. But more importantly, we reach out and interact with the students that have taken the time to provide us the feedback. And we take it extremely seriously because we want our content to be as approachable, as engaging, and as accurate as it can be. So all of us are looking at our feedback on a daily basis. And then as a team, we're looking at it on a weekly basis, including reaching out to those of you who've taken the time to interact with us, which we appreciate.
Awesome, awesome. So real quick, we're going to take a moment. I'm going to talk about a giveaway. We love giving stuff away. What are we giving away today? Support team? Swag. Okay, we've got to be a little bit more specific, if you don't mind, on that. What type of swag? I got over here. I got swag all over. That's internal swag. I got shirts. I got swag. I mean, I got everything. So what do you guys want to do here? I got Yetis. I got swag. What are we giving? What's the YouTube channel want us to give away today? What do you guys want us to give away today? In terms of swag, we got Yeti, we got hoodie, we got Chaz. We could give away Chaz. And so while you guys are thinking about that, I'm going to answer some questions inside of the YouTube channel real quick. I forgot what they were, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at them. So forgive me for not looking in the camera. And let's see here. We have, real quick, from Koran, can certification in AWS DevOps engineer help in getting a job? I think, I don't know that we need to go to our panel of Will and Terry to answer this question. Yes. Yes, it can. And in fact, any certification always gets your foot in the door, specifically a DevOps certification. But what you need to understand, and which is why we really try to do depth and hands-on in our content, is it will get you the interview. Okay? It'll get you the interview. It will. The only thing is you need to be able to pass that interview. You need to be able to demonstrate that you can take that knowledge that the certification expects and apply it to different situations and scenarios as it relates to real-world stuff. A company wants to know, can you do it? Not did you pass the certification. So the certification gets you the job interview. So just passing the certification and being paper certified is not enough. So make sure you're doing the hands-on labs. Make sure you understand the concepts. Make sure you're utilizing our full-time instructors like Will and Terry and asking questions inside of the Linux Academy community. Your questions cause us to create more content if we need to based off of your questions. So be sure to do that. So real quick, here we go. We're going back to some of the questions. We have a question that says, I don't understand Devops Essentials course will be refreshed, ? And also which difference there are between hands-on labs in Linux Academy and on quests in Cloud Assessment. So there's not differences anymore. So you'll notice that anytime we do hands-on labs, we will be using our Cloud Assessments platform because it's our next generation platform that has our real-time grader on it. And there are activities that are independently consumable. So the content, a lab in and of itself, can be consumed by itself. So you don't have to go through the Linux Academy course to actually take that. You can take it on Cloud Assessments. And that's part of the 70 plus we're announcing, these individual pieces of content that are standalone by themselves to teach you a specific objective. Real quick, and then we're going to hit a recap. We have is from Keith. Is the Docker course, is the Docker certification course a refreshed version of the Docker deep dive? Seems like some of the content is close, but the Docker certification course is newer. Terry, I'll let you take that. You did both of them, and you're head of DevOps content.
So no, the Docker certification course is certainly not intended to be a refresh of the Docker deep dive, although by its nature, it's going to refresh to the more current versions of Docker, a lot of the content that you'll see in the Docker deep dive. Whereas in the deep dive, it was done with the intention of getting you familiar with all of the major features of Docker as a single host type deployment, although you could certainly have a multi-host deployment. Whereas the Docker certification course is very focused on not only Docker, but Docker's use inside of a swarm. So that we were talking about replicas and services inside of a Docker cluster managed with Docker Swarm. And it's part of the certification, so by its nature, it's also going to cover the enterprise components and things that the Docker deep dive did not get into. That was focused strictly on the open source components that you could expect to see in Docker, whereas Swarm is also covering the Docker Swarm Enterprise Edition as well as the Community Edition.
Yeah, and we were actually we were actually going to pull Docker deep dive, weren't we? And due to high requests, we had a lot of students saying, "Hey, you know, the software, the Docker version might be a little old, but almost all of it is still applicable." And there was I don't know that I said that word correctly. Oh man,
Close enough.
Yeah, and the examples on there were spot on. So I would probably assume that because of the demand for that, we'll end up looking at a refresh, but probably geared a lot more towards hands-on, independently consumable activities on Cloud Assessments, wouldn't you say, Terry?
I would say that given that we have the coverage for the Docker Certified Associate, that it would make sense when we refresh the deep dive to focus more heavily on the use cases and practical application so that you can get your hands on it. And of course, we'll introduce the Swarm components that we now cover as part of Docker in general in the certification, but certainly is a big part of Docker's overall philosophy and architecture going forward.
Absolutely. So I'm going to answer two questions, and we are going to give away a Linux Academy hoodie. I think that's what was suggested inside of there. Hold on a second. We have Landon Fowler, who would like to have, I'm a little jealous. Nobody's ever asked this of me. Will, you haven't even had content on here, and we have Landon who wants to have a signed shirt by you.
Sure, I'll do it.
Sounds like you're getting a signed shirt. And then we're going to give away a Linux
awesome.
Academy hoodie. So if you want to go ahead, that'll be our first giveaway right there. Our next giveaway will be if you want to share on Twitter and reference, and if you're not on the Twitter, you could do it on LinkedIn and reference Linux Academy so they can see it. The first people to do that, I'm getting a thumbs up, so I don't know if I'm saying the wrong thing. I'm just making this up. Kid you not. They're just going to go along with whatever I'm saying at this point. The first people to do it, how many? The first two people this time to do it, maybe say the nicest things. We'll gauge it. We'll put it through voting internally with our 90-plus staff members. We'll get a Linux Academy hoodie and maybe some stickers and, I don't know, some good stuff. We got to give away some Pinehead the Penguins. I don't have any on here right now. We need to give some of those away. So we had one more question on there, which was, are you launching a SaltStack course anytime soon? And I would just say, just keep coming to our announcements. Every single day from the month of April, we're launching 70 plus, approximately 20 Linux Academy courses, of which there's like 5 I think we came up with that are DevOps. of which a whole bunch of hands-on, independently consumable activities on cloud assessments for 70 plus pieces of amazing content. Most of your dreams are going to come true. It's going to be amazing. And then if your dreams don't come true, Terry and Will, and anybody else listening, heads of content and course authors, are their dreams probably going to come true this year? I can't hear Terry. I think he muted himself. So what I will say is I think what he said is most of your dreams were going to come true. And we have even more announcements in July. We're on a quarterly release cycle. Even more announcements in July. Oh, here we go. Boop. Pinehead to Penguin. And a Linux Academy coaster. Pinehead to Penguin. And if you don't know this, if you were to go to, let's see if I can find it here. It's a gym. It might have you share my screen over here, Davis. I'm going to browse down. I don't know if we still have it up here. Oh, no, we don't.
Oh, the Penguin can?
No. Okay, and we're going to give out one more piece of swag. So the first person who can find our Pinehead the Penguin comic page and tweet it or post it on LinkedIn and reference us, we will give away Pinehead the Penguin. Whoop. And some stickers and a coaster and stuff like that. So awesome, everybody. We appreciate you coming in. Will and Terry, thanks both of you for coming in. Will, are you excited for your next course?
Definitely.
Awesome. Terry, are you excited for your next course? So he can't, he's all sorts of messed up over there. So for recap, he's not really doing courses. He's got some LPIC 202 updates that he's working on that are going to come out at the end of this month. Just a quick announcement there that we're just going to plug in as a top secret thing. And then let's just go ahead and do our recap. Here we go, everybody. Let me get my recap screen. This week, yesterday, I don't know what today is. Today's Tuesday. That's my week for you already. Yesterday, which is Monday, we had Amy when we announced our deploy and manage OpenStack on Ubuntu Pike. OpenStack Pike. Now, here's the deal with that. We launched several hands-on activities in OpenStack Labs that deploy out the OpenStack environment and teach you things. Super amazing. So then today we announced our DevOps Essentials. Now, do we have a total recap slide here? Ingrid, you're looking at me that has the content. Let's go there. So let's go back one real quick. On Wednesday and Thursday, I'm messing her all up over here. Wednesday, we have Phil joining us, and I believe Christoph Limpelaire, Chief Product Officer and founder of Scale Your Code, will be joining us. And we're going to announce some cool cloud assessment stuff. And then, let's do a final recap, everybody. Let's do that. All right, let's do that. I'm reading the comments in YouTube. Here we go. Let's go back to it, everybody. So far this month, this is what we have announced. Google Cloud Security Essentials course. let's just start this. We've announced these courses. Google Cloud Security Essentials, Google App Engine Deep Dive, AWS IAM, Identity and Access Management Deep Dive. Building a chatbot with Chatlot. Be more useful if we built a chat bot. So building a chat bot with AWS Lex, deploy and manage OpenStack on Ubuntu Pike, DevOps Essentials, which was today. Hands-on learning activities include, which are available on cloud assessments, and also we've embedded them in these courses. Introduction to IAM, our first AWS Identity and Access Management Lab. Building a serverless alerting chatbot, hands-on, ladies and gentlemen. Using the CLI for OpenStack, setting ACLs in Swift, managing policies, and the Devops Pipeline. Everybody, I appreciate it. Don't forget to, when you give stuff away, you can, it's not Amy, it's Will that we have up there. But Amy was yesterday, Will was today. Follow me, Anthony D. James, on Twitter. Also, if you go to linkedin.com/n/Anthony D. James, don't forget to, the first 2 people to share the DevOps Essentials course and congratulate Will, eligible for swag, and the first person to find our Pinehead the Penguin comic, get yourself one of these little fellas and some other swag as well. Thanks, Will and Terry, for joining us. Terry, we're going to pretend like you said you're welcome. Will, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you all tomorrow at what time? At 2 p.m. Wednesday for some fun AWS stuff. Catch you guys then. Signing out.